approximately 3 to 4 million cats and dogs, many of them healthy, young, and adoptable, must be euthanized in animal shelters every year because the owner didn't want the animal or because they couldn't afford to keep it. Animal abuse comes in many forms, not just abusing the animal, and that's where people don't see it happening. I believe that animal abuse is not a very good thing. It's inhumane, it's a big problem in the United States as well as around the world. I also believe that it's hard to eradicate it because no one really keeps track of how many animals are abused or where they are abused or higher concentration of animal abuse, I guess, history. And yeah.
My view on animal abuse is that it's wrong. I think a lot of people that abuse animals actually don't even realize that they're doing it.
No, when I worked at the animal hospital, I know that 2 of the cases we had that were brought in were animal abuse due to the circumstances. One was a pit bull that was dragged behind a truck on a chain, and he had on the left side of his body, all of his skin was worn off, which you would think that if you were a dog, you would probably be making some noise if you were getting dragged behind a vehicle. That would imply to me that the owners were either under the influence of the substance or did it on purpose.
I see.
And the other time was a couple of kids kicked a cat and ruptured the cat's diaphragm, which caused the cat's abdominal organs to all flood into its thoracic cavity. Both animals were fine after treatment.
Yeah, I mean, I've witnessed more so in the neglect form. I haven't witnessed too often people actually like eating their animals, but I think neglect is one of the easiest ones for people to fall victim of.
Honestly, I tend to take the more controversial stance. I'm for animal testing simply because I believe animal testing has the opportunity to save a human life, and a human life's always going to be worth more than an animal. And most animals we test on are rats, weasels, mice, things with biology very close to a human, but they're expendable. And it's not a cruel exercise, it's often a very humane one, and we nowadays have computer simulations and plenty of other things we can use to figure out if it's going to hurt the animal and be cruel or inhumane. So I think if you need to test on an animal for medicine and such, yeah, go for it.
So I would think that for things that aren't essential, like makeup and hair products, we should never test on animals. But animal testing actually helps produce a lot of our pharmaceutical products that help cure drugs or cure diseases. Sorry, I have a student messaging me.
No, it's fine.
Does that help? My cell degree, a lot of my cohorts when we were getting our degrees had to test on mice and stuff like that. I have a friend who got a psychology degree, and her job is to literally hit mice on the head with a pneumatic hammer to give them brain damage, so we can study how we can help people later on.
Animal testing in labs?
I mean, I think there's a place for it. I guess, yeah, I mean, when we think about all the different ways we test animals, some of them probably are unnecessary. When we do think about like advances in medicine, though, I think it's a pretty worthwhile, pretty warranted process, procedure. And I think that we've come a long way scientifically as well, though. Instead of just saying, we're going to go ahead and test a rat or a monkey or whatever, there's lots of trials leading up to that to assure that there's going to be minimal negative side effects. And usually when we get to the animal testing piece, and it's the rare anomaly that we're going to find something or that has a majorly adverse effect, versus I think in the past a lot of the history has been, let's just try it out and see what happens, and if an entire litter of mice dies or if we lose 25 monkeys or whatever, then oh well, we learned something. But I think science has come far enough along now that that's not really the case. That we have a pretty strong idea. We do the animal testing just to support our thoughts that yes, it is good and ready to go.
I don't approve of animal testing. I think that people are not aware enough about animal testing and the products that are used on animals, and I think that's something that we as a society need to be more aware about.
I'd say the biggest reason people abuse animals would probably be, I think what it's known as kick the dog syndrome, which, despite the humorous name, is actually a real thing. It's the same reason people abuse their kids. They get very angry, they're drunk, they lose control of themselves, and they take out that anger and whatever problems they have in their life often on the
People abuse animals for different reasons. Some people had a lot of abuse in their life. They have no control over it, so they're trying to get that power over something. I think a lot of people, like I said, just don't recognize that they're doing it. They think that they have the capacities to take care of these creatures, and when it comes down to it, they can hardly take care of themselves.
I think that people who mistreat animals or other people probably have psychological problems or just don't know how to deal with anger. A lot of the times that I saw animals mistreated personally was an issue with the human and not with the animal. No. And that's primarily because there's so many animals in the United States that are already homeless, and a lot of people that would be qualified to own a pet may be turned away based off of things like money, where they live. And since there are already so many homeless animals, it would just remove options for them to be homed.